Welcome back, everybody. It is September 24th, and we're going to be here breaking down our rankings after the week 4 of the high school football season here in Sonoma County. Um, Keenan, a pretty strong week here for our top 7. Not a ton of movement. A couple teams shuffling around a little bit, but pretty chalky week this week. And I think our rankings kind of reflect that. So last couple weeks here coming up. Non-league play for some of these teams. I know a couple of teams are starting league play coming up this week. You're going to be checking out the first games of the RAC Mountain Division coming up this week with Sonoma Valley and Piner. But a couple, still a few more weeks until we get to Adobe play, till we get to, I think, Bay play starting in a couple more weeks too. So, non-league play is definitely winding down here, and it's over for a couple of teams. But jumping into our rankings here real quick, we're going to start with our 2 bubble teams. Same 2 bubble teams as last week. Sonoma Valley 4-0, big winners this last week over Santa Rosa 41-14. Again, the great start for the Dragons continue. I think I saw Max Pond say that they're 4-0 now for the first time since 1992. So the historic start to their season rolls on. You'll be seeing them in action again this week. Your second game covering them, and I think that at this point they're definitely the early favorite to win that RAC Mountain Division. So we'll see what the next couple of weeks have in store for them. But also staying on the bubble this week is Ukiah, 2-1, coming off their bye, picked up a really, really good road win over Chico, the Northern Section Division 2 runner-up last year, one of the top teams in the Northern Section this year. Great game for the Wildcats coming off a bye, and that's 2 pretty good wins for Ukiah this week, and big task coming up this week with hosting San Marin, one of the top teams in the NCS. So those are our bubble teams here for week 4.
Yeah, absolutely, and kind of to add on to your point there, league play starting to come up here. Anticipation's building. I mean, we were all really excited for this new conference realignment, see what it would bring, and we're almost here. So excited for that, Gus. I know you're excited as well. We're just about there. But yeah, the bubble teams remain the same. Ukiah, Sonoma Valley, two teams, who have shown out pretty well this season so far. So we'll see if they could maybe make the jump into the top 7. Who knows? But obviously we have our top 7 that we'll go through right now. There goes.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think Ukiah, obviously, if they beat San Marin this week, it would be a big upset. And I think that would definitely get them into our top 7. So we'll see how that one plays out. Should be a good one. Jumping into our top 7, we have a new team here at number 7 this week. St. Vincent is going to be dropping 1 spot in our rankings this week. They had a big win, 46-0 over Lowell, second straight 40-point win. Handling business against kind of lesser teams like a good team should. We know St. Vincent is a very good team this year, but we're just going to drop them a spot this week because kind of some strength of schedule stuff. The 3 teams they've beaten, haven't been the strongest. I think they're 1-10 combined right now. And again, they're taking care of business, like a good team should, but just kind of want to see them do, I guess beat some better competition, I think, before we put them up ahead over Vintage, who's going to be moving up to number 6 this week. Vintage has picked up 3 straight pretty good wins against some better competition. Again, not the strongest, but just they played a bit of a harder schedule to this point. So I do think St. Vincent and Vintage are probably pretty even right now as far as our rankings go, but I think just Vintage's strength of schedule at this point probably gives them the edge. But I think St. Vintage is that's a tongue twister. St. Vincent will have a good chance to pick up a good quality win here in a couple weeks. They're on bye this week, but they have Fortuna coming up week after next. So. I think they'll definitely have a good chance to move up with the win there. But St. Vincent coming in at number 7 this week.
Yeah, I think you put a nail on the head there. Strength of schedule. Taking care of business as we know known them to have done. Oh my gosh, we can't speak today, Gus. It's a early week, but yeah, like you said, big test on Fortuna. I know they played them twice last year. First game, tough one up in Fortuna, up in the rain, and it's always a good matchup with them. But yeah, sliding down to number 7. Don't slide out of our rankings, but stay at the 7th spot there.
Yep, like we said, Vintage coming in here at number 6, up from number 7 last week. They took care of Bethel 44-14, third straight win for them. Their average margin of victory over this little streak is 22 points. Rounding into some good form. Blake Porter continues to be, to take some steps there at quarterback. He had 4 total touchdowns this week, 10 to 16 passing. Great kind of coming out season for Blake Porter. Only a junior there for the Crushers. Bye this week, but coming back, here next week, with their big game matchup against Napa. Should be a good one over there. But first time it's being played in non-league play, I think, ever, which is going to be kind of funny. But Vintage coming in here at number 6, also off this week. And then big game coming up.
I don't think it's kind of funny. I think it's kind of sad that the big game is not being played in league. I mean, what, it's like over 100 years, 150 years, something like that. Vintage ever since they lost their opener, they've been rolling, and I expect them to continue to be rolling, and be on the best streak possible heading into that very tough Adobe league play coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving up to number 5, not a whole lot of movement here from our 5-1 teams, but Rancho Cotati staying put at number 5. Beat Freedom Oakley 37-0 this past week. Another defensive showcase for the Cougars. 3 turnovers, got a safety, and they held Freedom to 51 total yards of offense. So, pretty much just business as usual for the Cougars there. Finishing up non-league play this week, road game at Montgomery. Vikings just moved to 3-1 too. They beat Healdsburg this past week, but good bounce back win for Rancho, and I think that they should have another good chance to get another a win coming up this week, heading into to Adobe play too in a couple weeks.
Yep, totally agree with you. When Rancho's defense is on, I think they're one of the best defenses in the area. And big bounce back win, like you said, and I think they get another win against Montgomery heading into Adobe League play. So Cougars good bounce back win, and expect them to keep going.
Coming in at number 4, same team as we had last week, American Canyon moved to 4-0. Another huge offensive game last week, 63-16 winners over Hayward. Kienan, a couple updated offensive numbers here for the Wolves. Keep your eyes in your head here. 50 points per game, 493 total yards per game on the season right now for the Wolves. They had 477 total yards this week. Again, it's kind of the same cast of characters. Andre Lopez, 3 rushing touchdowns, 4 total touchdowns for quarterback Mason Harris. Defense 2, lockdown, 3 fumbles, block punt, block field goal. Just kind of took care of business. Against an athletic but just overmatched Hayward team. Their Wolves have been killing teams so far this year. Strength of schedule, the average margin of victory is, climbing 20, 30 plus points at this point. Kind of the same thing we mentioned though, I think, with St. Vincent, but strength of schedule has not been the strongest at this point. And actually looking, kind of going through the rankings, but out of the top 20 teams in the NCS, I think American Canyon might have had the lowest strength of schedule. Again, not taking anything away, dynamic offense, putting up points in bunches, but just haven't really faced a huge test yet. And again, American Canyon also on bye this week, but I think they will have a good challenge coming up in a couple weeks when they play TAM. I know TAM's 0-4, but they played pretty tough schedule so far this year. So that should be a kind of a good little litmus test to see where American Canyon kind of stands up in the North Bay. And also, again, it could be a win over TAM could also give them a good little boost, into league play too. TAM is going to be a league opponent for them this year. So, American Canyon coming in at number 4, 4-0, another route this week for the Wolves.
Yeah, totally, no doubt. And like you said, TAM is. They may be 0-4, but they played the likes of Bishop O'Dowd. They played the likes of Marine Catholic. They've had one of the toughest preseason slates, kind of like Casa has so far. So definitely no walkover for sure. American Canyon's going to be tested, but if their offense and their crazy numbers that you just rolled out on me, which is surprise, I'm still can't get over those. If they keep rolling out those numbers, I think they'll be just fine. So take this bye week to rest, but American Canyon firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, like we said too, Casa Grande, absolutely a battle-tested team coming in here at number three. Out of all the North Bay teams, I think they have the second hardest strength of schedule so far. Lost a heartbreaker this week, 39-37 to San Marin. Mustangs hit a last-second field goal. Got the ball back with like 50 seconds to go after Casa had gone up by a touchdown, and yeah, got a or scored a touchdown with 50 seconds left, and yeah, came down, drilled a 40-yard field goal to win it with no time left on the clock. Just absolute thriller, but heartbreaker for the Gauchos. But again, Gauchos 2-2, one of the hardest schedules. Again, the two losses are to Cardinal Newman and San Marin. Obviously, they could be 3-1. I think if things go differently, last week, but nothing to sneeze about for being 2-2 for the Gauchos. I talked to head coach Antonio after after the loss, and said they've really kind of found themselves after that Newman loss, and I think that definitely kind of reflects in some of their scores last couple of weeks. They killed Balboa in that second game of the year. Beat Rancho for the first time in a long time. Week after that, and then again took San Marin down to the wire. And San Marin, been one of the better NCS programs here the last couple of years. Back-to-back state titles in 21 and 22. Obviously tough to come out short on that one, but again, great battle for the Gauchos, and I think again most battle tested team I'd say for sure in that league, and I think that they at this point they're probably the early favorites I'd say to come out of the REC Valley division. So again, tough loss, but I think they'll have a good shot to bounce back this week as host to Napa on Friday.
Yeah, totally agree. They could have, I mean, you kind of mentioned it already, but they could have gone 0-4, they could have gone 1-3, they could have gone 3-1, they could have gone 4. Who the heck knows what Casa would have done in these first 4 games when it was all set up and everything. But I think they're in a good spot at 2-2. Obviously, remember last year how they lost to Newman in their opening game as well, and then just rattle off 9 straight wins. So, I guess they got to play Newman in the beginning every year to find their identity or something like that. But Casa Grande's got a big bounce back, I believe, in Napa this week. And then I think the Valley is going to be the REC Valley is going to be a very pretty competitive race, I believe, especially with Casa and American Canyon playing the way they are. So, yeah, Casa Grande, kind of a tune-up, if you will. No offense to Napa, but tune-up, if you will, before that real Valley test come in.
Absolutely, yeah. And the last thing to mention on Casa too, but 3 of their 4 non-league games were against REC Adobe teams, which again is the top division in the Redwood Empire Valley Conference. So, yeah, definitely, again, battle tested group, and I think that they should fare well with that tough schedule here in league play coming up this week. So, moving up to number 2, again, no change at number 2. Windsor 4-0, big winners over Dublin 48-7. Bit of adversity, I guess, early on. I guess if you could call it a 48-7 win, but they threw a pick. In the first quarter, first turnover of the year for the Jaguars, and the score was actually tied 7-7 after 1, but came back 41 unanswered points. Played the fourth quarter with the running clock. Again, just kind of took that first little shot to the face and then bounced back in a big way. So yeah, not a whole lot to say much more about Windsor, but 4-0. Playing well right now. Also on bye this week. A lot of teams are on bye this week. Kind of a good chance for some teams to kind of rest up here before league play gets going. But yeah, they come back in I think 2 weeks, and they're playing a 1-3 Eureka team who they should probably beat pretty handily. So Windsor has a good chance to head into RECW play at 5-0, and yeah, I think the bye comes at a good point because. I don't think Eureka should be a huge challenge. And then, week after that, they play Newman. So definitely a time to kind of get things, tightened up, get some guys rested up. So, yeah, good win for Windsor this week, but off this week, but staying here at number 2 in our rankings.
Yeah, totally agree with you. They went up to Eureka last year, and it wasn't close by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't expect anything different when Eureka comes down here this year. But yeah, Windsor has a very good shot to go undefeated heading into the Adobe play. And one more thing to mention, it is weird. We've had Windsor Newman the last game of the season past couple of years, and now they're playing the first game of league play. So if that doesn't tell you what this Adobe League is going to be like, then buckle your seatbelts, folks.
Yep, I know it's gonna be kind of funny, but I'm very excited for that one in a couple weeks. Should be another awesome game here in the North Bay. But sticking here at number one, like like we mentioned, Cardinal Newman. Um, I biggest win I'd say of the week, probably most surprising result too. I mean, not just in the school, like
can we say that surprising?
Well, not in the result, but I think in the margin of victory. I mean, 56-0 over Bishop O'Dowd. Bishop O'Dowd came in as a top 15 team in the NCS, and it was not close from the start. 49-0 at the half. I remember I covered the Healdsburg game this week and looking at that score on the sideline, being like, that can't be right. But 49-0 at the half, running clock the entire second half. Breakout game for freshman quarterback. Tino Redamoza, LT as they call him too, but first varsity start, freshman, 6'1", 200, amazing athlete, 5 total touchdowns, 244 total yards, again, against the top 15 team in the NCS. So if that doesn't tell you kind of how good this kid is and will be, I mean, I'd like look no further. But again, another just, statement win, I'd say for Newman. I mean, we've kind of held their praises all year, but I'd say this is probably their most impressive win. That Vacaville win a couple weeks ago too, I thought was kind of like, all right, yeah, this team's legit, and this is like okay, this team is really legit. I wrote about this in kind of in my takeaways piece on Saturday, but I think this Newman team has a very, very, very legitimate shot to be an NCS Open Division team, one of those top 8 teams in the NCS. I think De La Salle, Pittsburgh, San Ramon Valley are all kind of locks, and I think Newman might probably. I mean, again, I don't want to. We still have 6 weeks to go here, but to say they're a lock might be a bit of a stretch. But I think that the way that they're playing right now, they absolutely deserve to be kind of in that top division. So we'll see how things kind of play out. But yeah, I mean, if they kind of work teams in league play like it looks like they can. I mean, Windsor, San Marin, even if they, I think, lose to Marin Catholic, which I don't know if they will this year. They're looking that good. I think that they have a very good chance to go open. So, yeah, I'd say no question. If they run the table, they're an open division team and they deserve it. And even if not, I think that they probably still might sneak in there as like a 7 or an 8 seed or something like that. So, but yeah, non-league finale coming up this week. Top team in the northern section coming into town from Pleasant Valley. Pretty solid team there from Chico, but just kind of how Newman's rolling right now. I think they probably take care of business pretty handily in this one and head into their bye at 5-0 and heading into that Windsor game at 5-0 too. So we'll see. But another massive win for Newman, and looking like one of the top teams in the NCS right now.
Yeah, all signs are definitely pointing that way. There, Gus. No doubt about it. I mean, we knew how good Newman was going to be coming in with all their returners on defense and everything like that. And they've just shown it week in and week out, from their opening win at Casa Grande, to Vacaville, to Armijo, now to O'Dowd. So, yeah, I mean, Newman seems like a team on a mission, and seems like they have something to prove, especially after that NCS Division 3 championship loss to Marin Catholic yet again last year. So definitely look like a team on a mission for sure, and they are, I would safely say, no doubt, our number 1 team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I mean, I know some people at Windsor might take this as a slight, but I think there's a pretty big gap right now between Newman and Windsor. So we'll definitely find out in a couple weeks. October 11th is going to be that Newman Windsor meeting this year. Again, very odd. It's going to be the first game of the season, but should tell us a lot of kind of about how things might play out here towards throughout league play in the Adobe division. So. Yeah, that does it for our top 7 this week. Again, kind of a quieter week, amongst our top teams. I think three or four of our teams are on bye this week, but league play is wrapping up for most of these guys, and yeah, can't wait for league play here in a couple weeks.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.